What's going on, guys? Petey here, back with another video. This video we're going to be talking about which tech tree, my opinions on the tech trees, which tech tree I think you should pick. So I think coming into the game, you're gonna have your if you're a brand new player to this game, you're gonna have your choice between the three tech trees, which are Tanker, Airman, and Cannoneer. Just to give you a quick rundown, Airman gives you quicker aircraft. It allows your bombers to carry more bombs. It's and then gives you a bunch of bonus attack for aircraft stuff. Tanker, it makes your light tanks super powerful at the start of the game. It gives you some more tank buffs, extra damage, stuff like that. And then Cannoneer, it gives you a couple bonuses for cannons. Not necessarily. Cannoneer is more of like an anti-air class. Most of the buffs for Cannoneer are going to be related to anti-air. So how it works is basically Airman kills Tanker, Tanker kills Cannoneer, Cannoneer kills Airman. That's kind of the what they were trying to do with the design of it. In my personal opinion, I think all three of them are very good classes, and I think you should use them as you wish. I'll give you a couple tips and a couple things. Uh, so basically, in my mind, I think it makes the most sense to try to figure out what kind of player you are first. Now, if you are just entering the game, you can put points into any of these, and it'll be you. There's not that big of a. It doesn't cost that much. It's not that big of an investment. So you can start out on Tanker, and if you don't like it, you can switch to Cannoneer. You can switch to Airman. It doesn't really matter. Um, but once you start getting into higher techs, getting up into the 90s, in the 100s, it starts getting significantly more expensive. So like in my Airman tree here, if I want to upgrade the next Airman, it costs 168,000 gold. My Tanker, it'll cost 120,000, and my Cannon, we're looking at 18,000. So it doesn't start getting expensive until you bump up into that third tier. Once you get 90, and then past then it gets expensive. So I highly recommend buying both labs, especially if you aren't sure on which class you want to be fully. Even if you are sure, I would still do it just so that way your account has some versatility. That way, if you get into a battle or a certain map, a 6v6, maybe your clan leader is going to need you, or your league leader is going to need you to run tank, or you have someone else who's running air. So, it's better for your account. If you're just a one track shot, it is, I mean, you can be, but I highly recommend just for tech purposes only, just go ahead and get two trees going. Um, Now, with that being said, I'm going to give my current opinions on it in this state of the game. What is it, season 11? Season 11 of the game. I'm going to give you my current thoughts on each of these techs. So, I think that Airman is super overpowered. Now, uh, I say that, I'm actually going to take back that statement. I don't think that Airman is super overpowered, but it is very, very versatile. Now, depending on which map you're playing, it can change, but Airman is an overall good class. The only downsides of it is early game. You're going to be struggling to fight other people if someone is a tanker. They're going to have a big advantage on you with their troops. And also, cannons, obviously, their anti-air is very, very, very deadly. I did a video in the past, and I saw like basically tanker anti-air versus cannon anti-air, and I think it was if you have 15 cannon flak 41s. So this unit right here, if you have 15 of these flak 41s, it's equivalent to 23 tanker flak 41s, which is an additional 8 units that have to be dedicated solely for anti-air to protect you from bombs. Uh, so the Cannoneer class has air covered pretty hard. they can do the same defense that 15 tanker can with like 10. So they're pretty strong. Oops, I'm getting shot. So there are some heavy counters. If you go against anti-air, if you go against cannons and the person knows how to use them, it's going to be pretty devastating for you. You're not going to be that great in big league battles, 4-on-4s, 5-on-5s. You'll be able to clean up, but you're going to have to wait for cannoneers and tankers to kill off all the anti-air before you can really get in there. So for PvP, in 3v3, 4v4, 5v5 situations with people that know what they're doing, air honestly isn't that viable. Honestly, it's not that viable. Now, if you play air against people that don't really know what they're doing, or they don't have anti-air, it can be absolutely devastating. Air can, if you get air superiority, kind of similar to real life, you can just do whatever you want until someone comes and tries to stop you. And there's ways to fight against Flak 41 and World. There's different tactics to do that. So you have a fighting chance in 1v1 scenarios. Most of the time, if you're good, you can clean up almost any 1v1 scenario. But like I said, those 3v3, 4v4s, you're going to be slacking. Moving on to Tanker. So we already talked about Tanker AA. There was a big buff that actually happened to Tanker. I don't know when, maybe last season or this season. But Tanker is able to produce these guys now, these heavy tank Pershings, straight out of the munition factory at level 8. So instead of running the Tiger tanks, you can just straight up run the Pershings. And they're slightly more expensive, but they have a ton more HP. They do a ton more damage. So with that, Tanker is a very viable class. You can typically run light tanks for the first day or so until you get enough rubber. And then you can start switching over to those Pershing armies, and you can roll those out for the entire remainder of the game, completely off of your city with no LC involvement except for anti-air. The thing with those is it's going to take a lot of troop space because you have to pack, a ton of anti-air, and then if you want to fly your tank army, you got to pack a ton of gigs. You're talking about having 6-7 gigs to transport your whole army on a normal map. If you want to roll around on the ground, that's absolutely fine too, but you need to watch it. I've tried, I have some tanker tech up, and I've tried tanker a few fields. In every single field, I get bombed because I'm not paying attention. I'll have my troops moving to go attack a city, and I'll be over here managing my cities, and I'll look back, and my 30 Pershings are gone. And it's like, that's obviously a rookie mistake. Seasoned tankers wouldn't make that mistake. But like I said, there's a little bit more of a learning curve, at least in my opinion. I think I picked up airman a lot quicker than tanker. So what I'm trying to say is to be a good airman, it doesn't take too much. It takes one or two oopsies. To be a good tanker, I think it's a lot harder, in my opinion. Trying to split, trying to calculate risk, trying to fight in tree lines, being on the ground in general is just a lot riskier than being in the sky and being able to zip out of a situation. So with that being said, we're moving on finally to Cannoneer. And like I said before, Cannoneer is the weird one because Cannoneer, you would assume that you get a lot of artillery buffs, which you do. I mean, you get a little speed bonus here. You get defense against bombers. You get some speed, some attack versus buildings, attack versus air. You get some stuff, but compared to airman and tanker, what you get for the respective, tanks or aircraft, it's not as great. It's all about the flak with Cannoneer. And with Cannoneer, you are running around with, you should be running around with M40 army with your AA loaded, and it'll take significantly less gigs. And the only issue I see with Cannoneer is that in order to get out of a situation, you need to get a city, or get to an ally city, or get to your own city. And then you need to either gem the city up and gem up the airport if it was destroyed, or you have cover to get out of there. Most of my kills are either from new players that don't have anti-air, or they're from cannon or tank armies that are caught out of position trying to get into an airport or something like that. So with that being said, it's a lot of micromanaging. That's what kind of steered me away from Cannoneer in the beginning when I first started playing the game. But it honestly is the AA is completely deadly, and as long as you're paying attention and you're managing whenever you're attacking, which sounds easy, but I'm like, I put a lot of hours in the game, and I'm not staring at my troops 24/7. Like, I haven't looked at my city since I started this video. I'm just out here, so I don't know what's going on back in my city. But as long as you're paying attention, you should be safe. It sucks losing your whole army to something stupid. And with that being said, too, Airman has that drawback too. If you run out of fuel on any one of these planes, they just fall out of the sky and they're dead. I've had that happen several times as well. That's just something you got to use these command queues to get around and queue up entering a base. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. I think to put a nice bow on it, I think Airman is very good if you want to sacrifice the first day, and once you get bombers up, you become pretty deadly in 1v1 situations and farming situations. I think Tanker is very deadly if you can manage AA and if you can, get into the league city and craft up anti-air quick, and you can pay attention to your units. And then Cannoneer is probably the best for the 3v3, 4v4 scenarios. It definitely is the best for those scenarios. They just hit hard. All their units do splash, and it's just devastating to deal with. And they counter bombers, which is your main threat. So, yeah, that's my input on that. Whatever you guys want. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'll take a look, and I'll help you if you're having trouble deciding, and we'll go from there. But thanks, man. It's been Petey. Catch you later.